Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Good afternoon, good morning. We've got some viewers here from YouTube. Hi, Katrina. Could you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Ooh, we've got some viewers from Facebook. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Hi, Nalara. Hi, Karen. Where are you guys tuning from? Hi, Muhammad. Hi, Divigan. I'm just going to give everybody a few minutes to join us here. In the meantime, if you could let me know where you're tuning in from today, that'd be great. Hi, Sean. We've got Mohammed from Pakistan. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe. 2 a.m. in Australia. Hi, Tony. Welcome, welcome. We've got Nilar from Myanmar. We've got some folks from Canada, the USA, Morocco. Hi, Lubna. Hi, I see your question here. Thanks for posting that. We are going to be having a question and answer period at the end of our session today. So feel free to post your questions. I will get back to those at the end of our session. We've got some people from Bangladesh, Nigeria, Qatar. Thank you, Jorge, for the greetings. Uzbekistan. Hi, Abal from Canada. Hi, Abal. Nice to see you as well. Guys, everyone, for today, we are going to be going over a few different topics, mostly express entry, as always, as well as the new pathways for permanent residents that was introduced a few months ago. I will be going over the current status as well of the border closures and quarantine requirements, as well as visitor visa applications. I know many of you are interested in visiting Canada, so I'm going to go over some of the top reasons for refusal there, as well as a request for reconsideration. I'm just going to give us a little bit more time for people to join, and then we can get started as soon as possible. We've got Trinidad, Tobago, Somalia, Nepal, Libya, Rwanda. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. All right. We've got 100 viewers. Welcome, everybody. How can you reach Canada? I will be answering some of your questions today. So great question. I see some questions about Red Seal examination registration. Very great question. Hi, everyone. Just one more minute, guys, and then we can get started. Hello from Bangladesh and Tunisia. Anas, I know you're interested in booking an appointment. One of our team members can definitely share that with you in a little bit, okay? All right, so it's 12:05 now. I am going to get started on our Facebook Live session for today. We host these sessions on the monthly to go over any of immigration updates as well as your question and answers. I am a licensed Canadian immigration consultant. My name is Victoria. And with Visa Place, we are a law firm based here in Toronto, Canada. We've been helping people for over 20 years now. We have a team of consultants who help, meet with you to figure out, what is the best pathway for your immigration journey. If you guys are tuning in from Facebook, we're live on TikTok, Instagram. Follow us there. Follow us on social for all the latest immigration updates. So for our agenda for today, as I mentioned, I will be going over the public policy pathways for permanent residents. Those are for essential workers, healthcare workers, as well as Francophone speakers. I will be also going over the latest update on Express Entry, the latest draw there, what's coming in the horizon as well for federal skilled worker. I know some of you are very interested in that. I will also be sharing the latest update on border closures, the new quarantine exemption for fully vaccinated travelers, as well as visitor visa applications. As we are slowly getting ready to reopen here in Canada, there's a lot of people who are interested in coming here, coming to visit family, coming for tourism. So I'm very happy to share a quick update on what's going on in terms of resuming services there, as well as the most common visa refusals, what to look out for when applying for a visitor visa to Canada. Lastly, I also want to go over a request for reconsideration. We had a few questions about this on our last session. What happens when your application is refused? What remedies do we have in order to reopen your case? So I'd like to talk a little bit about that so that you guys have an idea of what we can do to help you. At the end of our session, we will also have a Q&A period. So if you have any, case-specific questions about yourself, anything general that you'd like me to answer, please post it in the chat box, and then I'll be happy to go over those with you guys towards the end of our session today. If you're interested in booking a consultation with us, there is going to be a discount code for 25% off as well, and I'll be sharing that towards the end. All right, so let's get started, guys. Let's talk about the new pathways for permanent residents. I think this was one of the biggest news of the year with the introduction of the new kind of avenues for permanent residents for 90,000 essential workers and international graduates. For people in Canada specifically, this was launched on May 6th, and this program is running currently until November 5th later this year. What's special about this program is this was a direct result of the COVID-19 impacts, looking at how people have been able to contribute to the economy, how they've been able to help reshape our population, and a real benefit for those people who have been helping us and supporting us, and allowing them to apply for permanent residence in a much more streamlined, quick, and easy way that's not kind of present right now in terms of our current PR immigration programs. Let's talk about healthcare workers. These are our frontline people working in healthcare sector, doctors, psychologists, therapists, all sorts of healthcare occupations, home support workers, teachers as well. For this program, we have a quota of 20,000. So if you've been working in this area for at least 1 year in the last 3 years, you may be eligible to apply for a permanent residence. This quota is still quite low. We're sitting at 1% of the allowable quota. I don't know if we're going to be able to hit that in November. So we're at the end of June now, July, August, September, October, November. We've got 5 months. I know a lot of our frontline workers are really busy working overtime, working over the standard number of hours per week. So it might be a little bit difficult for you guys to get in and start preparing your PR application. But if you or your family members that may qualify and have been working in Canada as a healthcare worker, I would strongly recommend taking some time to take a look at this program. We're happy to meet with you, review the eligibility requirements, of course, but really using this opportunity to apply for permanent residence. just because of the hard work that you guys have been doing to help us. I also want to talk about the other stream for this pathway, which is for essential occupations generally. We're looking at a quota of 30,000 spots. And right now, as of today's date, we're sitting at 60%. So we've only got a little bit left to go. But a lot of the occupations here are some that people may not be aware about. There are a lot of skilled kind of technical trades occupations, of course, but we are truly looking at people who are essential workers. So cashiers, people working at retail stores, telemarketers, material handlers is a really big occupation that some people might not be aware of. If you are moving, if you're working in a warehouse, if you're an order picker, all of these are considered essential occupations. We've got harvesting laborers, cleaners, farm workers, delivery drivers, call center customer service representatives. Again, if you or any of your family members are in Canada and you're currently working in one of these occupations here, really take this opportunity to take a look and see if you qualify. A lot of people are kind of just waiting for Canadian Experience Class, Express Entry, spousal sponsorship. You may be working here on an International Experience Canada work permit under this program and might not even know that this program exists. So really, you know, to maximize your chances to stay and apply for permanent residence in Canada, I would really urge everybody to book a consultation with us so that we can take a look at that and see if you qualify. There are a set number of hours that you need to meet. It's generally about 1 year full time. And if you've worked in multiple different occupations, if you work as a janitor and then a retail store person, you can mix those kind of those experiences to finalize the cumulative number of hours in order to qualify for this pathway. What are the benefits of applying for this program? It's much easier. There's less documentary requirements in Express Entry. It's faster. It's a little bit cheaper. There's also a very lower threshold for language requirements. If you're applying under the essential occupations or healthcare workers, you need to meet a CLB benchmark level of 4 for English or French. Now, if you're a francophone, so if you speak French and you graduated from a eligible institution in the last 3 years, or if you're an essential worker, the quota doesn't apply to you. So the program is still open for all French speakers if you're currently working here in Canada, and that's running until November 5th. I know there's a little bit of time left still, of course, but you really want to get in there, book your French language test as soon as possible, get going with your documentation. There's a lot of forms that we need to fill out, a lot of things that we need to prove as evidence for this program. So we're happy to take a look and point you guys in the right direction for that. A few updates generally about the pathways, the new pathways. A lot of applications are now receiving a file number, which means that the government is processing your application. We are being issued submission confirmation letters for those, as well as an approval letter. I've heard that some applications are already approved. So it's only been, a month, which is really great. So it really goes to show that this pathway is a faster, quicker way to PR for a lot of people. If you guys have any questions about this pathway, feel free to post them in the chat box, and I can help answer if anything's unclear. Okay. Let's talk about Express Entry. We talk about Express Entry usually every Facebook Live session. This is, the most popular way for us to apply for permanent residence in Canada. For people in Canada, working here, people who have graduated here, but also for people outside of Canada, skilled workers working in other countries that have an interest and have a skill set to become an eligible candidate for permanent residence in Canada. The last Canadian Experience Cost draw that we saw last week saw a score of 357 and above being invited to apply for permanent residence. So this was issued to over 6,000 applicants in Canada, and this was the second lowest score in history after the record-breaking February 13th draw, where 27,000 individuals were invited to apply for permanent residence. So what we're seeing here is that, the threshold and the benchmark for permanent residence is decreasing. So, if you have work experience in Canada, if you have a lower, English or French speaking language score, if you, maybe not have graduated from secondary school or only completed 1 year of college education, we're really starting to see, the express entry draws, include these people who previously may have been excluded from our draws just due to the high kind of market and competition for the draws, which is really great because it really gives everyone a fair opportunity to apply for permanent residence, no matter what your background is. I also want to share an update about the PMP draw, which is kind of exciting. We saw 1,002 invitations, and this has been the highest number of invitations given out for provincial nominee programs, so PMP. Express entry overall is a federal program, so that's Canada-wide, but PMP is focused on each individual province, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario. We're looking at your relocation to the specific province, as well as meeting the labor market needs. So the Canadian government does work very closely with employers in each province. We're looking at where there might be shortages in certain jobs. We're looking at facilitating people who currently live in these provinces and they may not be able to apply for permanent residence under express entry because the score or the criteria is too high. So we're continuing to see a very strong focus on people in Canada, I think due to COVID, of course, but also really helping employers continue to meet labor market needs. So if you're working in Canada, we can take a look at that. We can assess, see if your job and if your occupation is an occupation in demand, then there's a good, strong likelihood that you may be invited to apply for a provincial nomination. Now, let's talk about the all program draws. I know a lot of you guys are tuning in from outside of Canada, which is really great. Welcome. We love to see you guys on these sessions. All program draws include all programs, self-explanatory. So we're looking at those who qualify for federal skilled worker. Federal skilled worker is a kind of subcategory of express entry. You usually need to have a decent English language score, or French language test, at least 1 year professional working experience, some education. So depending on your personal profile, you may qualify for federal skilled worker. And a lot of you are interested in applying for this. Right now, the programs aren't being drawn for federal skilled worker, but we may continue to see that start up again in the next couple of months, maybe even weeks. Last year, it started up in July. So I do think, the program will follow suit for this year and follow the same type of patterns. We just have to keep tuning in and seeing what's happening in the Canadian landscape space. But those are, without a doubt, they are going to continue. It's not that they're going to stop. Everything is going to start to slowly reopen. So as we start to see things go back to normal with COVID, those draws are definitely going to return. Okay. So if you're interested in applying, have your documents ready, get ready. Don't want to miss the opportunity for this to come to Canada. Okay, so as an update of June 29th, which is just yesterday, for those of you who are applying for express entry, applicants now only have 60 days to complete your PR application. So a little bit earlier this year, that timeline was increased to 90 days just because of the delays in getting some of the documentation, medical exam, police clearances, all of that stuff. Now we have 60 days to submit your application, which is a very short turnaround time. You really want to be ready and on top of everything as soon as you apply for express entry, because 2 months is not enough time. Why is this implementing now? Because the Canadian government is really focusing on faster processing. If an application is sitting in the queue and it's taking a little bit longer, it's taking 3 months, these are kind of sitting and the Canadian government's not able to process these as quickly. So we can see now that, IRCC is really trying hard to push these applications through so that we can meet the immigration level plans and the quota for the year, as well as create resources and space to process new PR applications. Okay. Any questions about express entry, feel free to drop a note here and we can take a look. Okay, let's talk about border updates. Something new that came up recently would be the new criteria for COVID-19 vaccinated travelers. So if you've received both doses or full dose for an eligible vaccination starting midnight on July 5th, if you're fully vaccinated, you are exempted from the 14-day quarantine requirement. You're also exempted from the hotel stopover if you're flying in to Canada, as well as the testing requirement on day 8. This means you still have to get a negative COVID test in order to come into Canada, but not doing that 14-day quarantine and not being forced to do that hotel quarantine is really huge. It's a pretty big cost savings for a lot of people. I know for those of you who have family members in Canada, you've been kind of waiting for the borders to reopen and for the quarantine restrictions to relax a little bit. So this is it, guys. If you've been waiting to come to Canada and if you've got your full vaccines from outside, this is a great time for us to start thinking about making those travel plans to come here. Of course, this doesn't change anything in terms of the border restrictions, okay? This only lifts the quarantine requirements in terms of a vaccination, okay? So the current restrictions are if you are an essential worker, if you have a family member in Canada, if you're a student, if you are coming for compassionate reasons to visit someone who's critically ill, or if you need to attend a funeral or an end-of-life ceremony. These are the reasons, these are the kind of the exemptions that you are allowed to come to Canada at this present moment. So if you're coming for something that's non-discretionary, such as tourism or a business visit, maybe not so much a business visit, but a work situation that's not truly urgent, I would say kind of hold off or at least allow us to take a look at that further for you guys so that we can determine whether or not you qualify under one of the exemptions, okay? Given all of this, you still need a quarantine plan in place. The exemption from the COVID-19 vaccination with the COVID-19 vaccination is given to you at the port of entry. So the immigration officer, at the end of the day, the border officer is going to be making that final determination. So you want to come prepared with a quarantine plan and be prepared for it to stay here for 14 days, where you're going to stay, who your emergency contact is, who is going to be helping you to get food for your quarantine plan. Make sure you have all those details, okay? Because if you're not approved, then you still have to quarantine, okay? Let's talk about the vaccination, okay? I know a lot of you are tuning from different parts of the world, Asia, Europe, Africa. For Canada specifically, the full series of an accepted COVID-19 vaccination includes Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Janssen, okay? So you need to make sure that one of your vaccines are one of the approved ones on the list, and you need to make sure that you've also received your last dose at least 14 days prior to entering Canada. You need to show proof of vaccination, so a vaccination certificate, and upload all of that into the ArriveCan app. That's something that we need to download and get you guys ready in order to facilitate your entry into Canada. The current status in Canada right now, everything is going pretty well. Here in Toronto, we're starting to slowly open up some businesses. Numbers, COVID cases have dwindled a little bit, especially with the really fast and efficient rollout of vaccinations in Canada here. We are doing quite well. So as a result of that, we can see that some of the immigration services are slowly starting to open up. We're starting to see IEC countries, being invited and eligible to apply for working holiday visas, such as Germany. We're also seeing biometrics in India open up currently for permanent residents applications, as well as work permit holders. I know a lot of you have family members, spouses, parents in India, and you guys are, wanting to bring everyone in where we've got a visitor visa application in place, and the biometrics is the blocker for us. So slowly but surely, we can see some kind of progress on that. But right now, biometrics in India is open for work permit applications. Other changes in terms of preparing for reopening, we're starting to see all of this, so make sure that you guys tune in so that we can share. But it's all in good news, really, just to positive light for the reopening of border measures. So if you're interested in applying for immigration to Canada, if you're interested in applying for study permit, work permit, visitor visa, I would really recommend to kind of get your documents ready, be prepared, because the sooner, before we know it, things are going to go back to normal, okay? some questions coming in about express entry and jobs in Canada. Really great questions, guys. Keep them coming. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the visitor visa, and then I can go over the questions for you guys, okay? Visitor visa applications. I just spoke to you guys about that briefly just now, but a lot of you either have a visitor visa application in place or thinking about applying for a visitor visa. Now, depending on where you're coming from, depending on your country of application, we're starting to see the processing times for those countries. They are a little bit longer as they're dealing, as they're going through that backlog. But as things start to get better, we're starting to see those processing times decrease as well too. I really wanted to take a moment and talk about some of the common refusal reasons for visitor visa applications. A lot of people think, it's an easy application. I've got someone to invite me in Canada. I need an invitation letter. All I do is that I have to apply for a visa and then I'll be approved. That's definitely not the case. A visitor visa application is very complex depending what your personal circumstances are, where your background is. Ties to home country is one of the main reasons that a visa application is refused. If you don't have strong ties to where you are from originally, it's going to be very difficult for an immigration officer to approve your application, to believe that you will be returning to your home country after your visit in Canada is done. Purpose of travel, visiting a family member, tourism, meeting with a client, whatever that reason is, it has to be a bona fide, genuine purpose. And we really want to be very careful about this. It's a very fine balance, navigating your reason to come here. A lot of people want to come here to relocate, to apply for permanent residence. And we have to remember that a visitor visa application at the end of the day is a temporary residence document. It's a temporary residence. You're only allowed to stay here for that period of time, and then you have to come back to Canada. So we really want to be careful with what we list there, okay? Family ties in Canada and family ties in your home country. This is a really tricky one. I think if you've got mother, father, spouse, partner, siblings in Canada, it's going to be a factor in showing the immigration officer, especially because we have to report all of this on the family history form, that you may or may not leave Canada at the end of your stay. Okay, so we really want to navigate this carefully, especially if in your home country you don't have that many immediate family members and most of your family members are here. We really want to make a strong application, show strong evidence for your ties to home country, what's anchoring you there in your country of citizenship. Travel history, if you haven't traveled very often or not at all, this is also a consideration. If you've traveled a lot as well too, and you have your visas, that's all great. Because it shows that every single time you've traveled somewhere, you come back to your home country. Again, strong ties to home country. Employment history, whether you're working in Canada, not in Canada, in your home country, is really important, right? The immigration office is going to want to see that you have the resources and that you've set yourself up in a way that you are, you can, return to your home country, continue working, and also pay for your living costs, whether that's stay, food, flight, return airfare, okay? Going into that proof of finances is really important. We really want to show a strong financial background, that you have enough money to support your stay, and also to go back home, as well as any prior visa refusals. A lot of people have visa refusals to the United States, a lot of F1 refusals if you are applying for school, maybe even like a spousal refusal or even a B1, B2 US refusal. All of that is taken into consideration for an immigration application. If you've overstayed in another country, if you've applied and have been rejected for whatever it is, we have to report that. We have to be very honest and truthful on the application. And there's a very careful way to navigate that and explain the circumstances, but we have to be forthcoming and we have to show a very comprehensive, complete application. With all that said, all of these reasons for refusals, we want to show the right supporting documentation to make a strong case for your visitor visa application. We process visitor visa applications all the time from all sorts of countries, all different types of people, in all sorts of circumstances. So we here at Visa Place are very familiar with what exactly the immigration officer is looking for in order to approve and positively adjudicate a visitor visa application. So if you guys are looking to apply for a visitor visa, if you got something in place already, book a consultation with us. We'd be happy to kind of walk you through that, kind of evaluate your whole situation, and then make some recommendations for you guys there. Moving on to requests for reconsideration. We had a few questions come up about this on our last Facebook Live session. I really like that because if you guys are interested in sharing more details or information about a certain immigration topic, please put it in the chat box, ask your questions so that we know that this is what you guys want to hear about, so that I can kind of like talk about it and share these ideas with you guys. Request for reconsideration. So what to do if your visa application is refused, study permit, even permanent residence. There are a lot of refusals that we see on a daily basis, failure to provide the correct documentation, or maybe your case isn't strong enough and there is a specific reason that the immigration officer has listed that your application is refused. There's always a possibility for us to do a request for reconsideration, okay? Depending on your circumstances, there might be an avenue, there might be an angle there that we can use to help reopen your case. The benefits of doing this is that, one, you don't have to apply again. Two, it kind of overturns that negative application, that negative refusal. If you're applying for a visitor visa application to any other country, one of the main questions is, have you ever been refused a visa? So if you have a reconsideration that's reopened and adjudicated positively, that kind of changes that question, right? It's no longer a no because it was reopened and it was assessed and approved eventually. It is very possible for us to do it. Is it hard? Yeah, it is a little bit hard, but we really want to take a look at your case, especially if you feel like your visa application was refused unfairly, or if you included everything that the immigration officer had asked for. Okay, immigration officers, they are humans at the end of the day. They do, kind of make mistakes, or they kind of overlook things. It's our job as your legal representative to go to bat for you and make a strong case for a reconsideration if it's warranted, okay? This is what we do here at Visa Place. We do a lot of it. We review your case, we make recommendations, we add supporting documentation to supplement your visa application. And we will act on your behalf to immigration and help escalate your case as needed. Okay, guys, so that's it for all of our immigration updates for today. I do want to move on to our question and answer period. I know there's tons of questions here, lots of great questions. So I am happy to go over them with you. So let's see what we've compiled here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so first question, how to check the authenticity of a job offer letter from Canada? That is a really great question. It really depends on where you're getting your job offer from. If you're getting it directly from the employer, or if you're getting it through, maybe a consultancy or an agency. Truly, that at the end of the day, that job offer has to be registered with the immigration, okay? Every single employer has to lodge and file and track the job offer to anyone that's not Canadian, and make sure that your employer is following those compliance measures. So there is a way to do that, but we need to be able to take a look at that for you guys and make sure that your employer is doing the right thing to register your offer of employment. Now, if you have just a job offer letter, that's something different. A job offer letter is what you get, as an employment contract when you apply for a job. But registering that job offer and being qualified to apply for a work permit is a totally different thing. That needs us to review your strategy and to make sure that you are authorized to work in Canada. What is the cost for a lawyer to submit an application for Canadian immigration? Great question. You'll have to book a consultation with us just so that we take a look at everything. Every case is different. So depending on the type of program we're looking at, The fee does vary, so our consultants are happy to share that with you guys on our consultation. When will express entry take place for people outside of Canada, not CAEC? So if we're following the same pattern as last year, it should be as early as July, August. So keep an eye out for that. If not, definitely before the end of the year, okay? So soon, in the next couple of months. If you're looking to apply for express entry under federal skilled worker, get your application ready, start working with us so that we can take a look at that as well too, so that you have enough time to submit everything. I was refused a study permit and wish to know if you can help on that. Great question. Not a great scenario, of course. Study permit applications, I've shared this on a previous Facebook Live session. Study permit applications, similar to visitor visa applications, are very tricky, okay? You want to really be able to meet the key criteria in order to get a study permit. And as I shared, we know exactly what the officer is looking for. We've gotten approvals for people applying for study permits where they've done it themselves and it's been refused many times. And we're talking master's students, we're talking PhD students who are very well qualified and capable of applying for your own study permit. It's not an easy application. You know, if you're on a time crunch, if you're starting in September, if you're starting in January, you really want to have a legal professional take a look and apply for your study permit application for you, okay? We can definitely help with you. What are the minimum bands required for permanent residence in Canada? Great question. That depends if you're applying for express entry, if you're applying for a skill level of a NOC A or B, so professional hire, we're usually looking at about CLB 7. If you're looking at a B level, we're looking at a 5. But also depends, there are other programs where the benchmark is much lower, such as the New Pathways, which is a 4. So it really depends on what kind of application we're putting forth. I am an electrical engineer from Canada of Indian origin, currently Canadian citizen. What is the criteria for ATN visa? That's a really great question. This is a Canadian immigration session. We do host US immigration sessions as well. I would strongly recommend that you tune into those where one of our US team members would be happy to share US updates. But if you are an engineer, if you've got an engineering background, education, and you're a Canadian citizen, most likely you'd be eligible to apply for a TN visa. But you want to book a US consultation with our team just to have us take a look at that further for you guys. I am from the United Kingdom, and I've got a good friend in Canada. Accommodation is not going to be a problem. I want to stay permanently and work. Is it difficult? I don't know how old you are. You know, if you are I think within a certain age bracket of I think 30, under 30, you may qualify for our working holiday visa application. Depending on what you do in the UK as well too, if you're an independent contractor, if you provide services and you have a client in Canada, you know, we may be able to bring you under a different work permit as well too. So if you're interested in working here and staying permanently, I would recommend that we meet with you so that we can kind of put together a plan for you guys depending on what your personal situation is, so that we can have you stay here for the long term. I don't have an IELTS test, but how will I go to Canada? I would say for most applications, you do need an IELTS English language exam. So depending on what we're applying for, you want to take a look at that and see if that's a requirement, okay? But for the most part, you do need an English language test, or French. French is another official language here. So if you speak French, if you're from a French-speaking country, there's actually a lot of avenues for French speakers to come to Canada and apply for permanent residence. Can I show my savings as proof of funds for Canadian Embassy, which is enough for my one-year tuition fee? Yes and no. You want to navigate this very carefully, as I mentioned, even for visitor visa applications or study permit. Yes, savings we can show, but it really depends on what's in your savings and how we establish you meeting the financial criteria. There's a lot of different factors that's involved that's above and beyond tuition. So you really want to make sure that you meet that and that you've got a strong financial plan and that you have enough money to cover your expenses for study. Financial is one of the key things for study permit. Okay, a lot of people are refused for not having enough funds for their stay for study. We don't want students coming here and struggling, to pay for first year tuition, struggling to meet living costs. So the immigration officer is extremely, extremely particular about meeting the funds requirement. I'm from the UK. I want to travel to Canada. My FC application is awaiting approval. Can I leave and return without a definitive on my sponsorship? I am fully vaccinated. Hooray, that's awesome. Congrats on that. So you're looking at a family class sponsorship application. Yes, I think you should be able to come to Canada as soon as, it depends on who your family member is, of course, but you should be able to come to Canada. We want to establish that, you do have a PR application in place. You can, meet the requirements of being a dual intent applicant, so someone who's looking to stay here on a temporary basis, but also looking in the long term to apply for permanent residence. Again, a very fine line that we have to balance. We always have to show that we are going to return back to our home country as needed at any given time. Okay, so we also help provide port of entry packages where we prepare a documentation to support this request at the port of entry. A little bit tricky for some folks, so just something to keep an eye out. I am 38 years old. I will be putting my file in this August. My score is 430. Does that give me a good chance under CEC? Absolutely. 430 CEC is a great score. Last week we were looking at 357. So you should be eligible to receive an invitation to apply relatively quickly, which is super exciting. One thing to note, as I shared earlier, 60 days to complete your full PR application, okay? You want to have all of your documentation ready as soon as possible. So job offer letter, okay? We wanted to make sure that everything looks good. All of the criteria, everything is filled, nothing is missing. We don't want any delays to your application. We don't want your application is refused for not having the right documentation. So if you wanted to take a look, if you want us to take over your PR application, make sure to book a consultation with us so that we can take a look at that for you, excuse me. And so there's no surprises, there's no hiccups down the road. I have 6 band language score. What are my options for immigration now? Depends on what you're doing. 6 band is usually good for a B-level job, which is a semi-skilled level. It really depends on what you're doing right now. So I think, there are immigration programs for you. We just have to take a look at that. I don't really have enough information to help assess you there. I wanted to know if working in a temporary full-time position experience will make me eligible for applying for PR through CEC. I graduated here. Yeah, full-time position, temporary. I think when you say temporary, you mean contract and not permanent. To answer your question, yes, most likely that job offer does qualify. It really depends on what you're doing, what your duties and responsibilities are, what the parameters are. So you want to take a look at that and see if you meet the criteria for CEC specifically, okay? Can I migrate to Canada if I still want to complete my master's there? Absolutely. If you're looking to complete your master's degree, I don't know if you mean overseas or if you want to complete your master's degree in Canada, but if you want to complete your master's degree here, definitely you can apply for a university program. You can apply for them for a study permit. I don't know if you qualify for anything else as well too. If you mean applying for completing your master's degree overseas, you still very might likely be able to apply for permanent residence depending on your situation. Most likely you're very well educated. Most likely you have a very good job and occupation. So absolutely, the one does not stop you or prevent you from doing the other. My spouse will sponsor me for PR. Do we have to live together? Okay, that's a really great question, okay? As part of your PR application, you do have to show that you intend, okay, on living together in Canada and restarting your life here. Now, if there is a situation where you cannot be together, family, work, whatever, something that's kind of extenuating may be a possibility, okay? But you really want to be careful. You will have to show that you intend to reside with your spouse. That's the purpose of spousal sponsorship application, to be together with your family member and start your new life together. That's why the PR is granted. So I want to err on the side of being safe and being conservative. Do we have to live together? Most likely, yes. Can I come with a visitor visa and can I join a job agency? Is that okay? We want to be careful here. If you have a visitor visa, you still have to show that your stay here is temporary. And now, if you want to join a job agency and look for a job, it's a little bit tricky. You know, a lot of people want to work here in Canada, but one, you need to have that work authorization. Two, you also need to have a job, right, lined up. It is possible for you to do both. You just want to be very careful when doing that, okay? Just in terms of immigration and making sure that you don't work without authorization, and when you're entering Canada, that your intentions to come here are true and genuine. It is really just to visit and not work here. So navigate that. Tread carefully, okay? What is the minimum education qualification level that's required to go to Canada? Great question. It really depends on what you're going to do. If you're in a trades program, federal skilled trades, if you're working in there, if you're working in a professional occupation, it depends on what job you do. So that all varies depending on the NOC, the National Occupation Classification, that's assigned to your occupation. I would say some people can come to Canada with a college level. Some people can come with a high school. On average, we're looking at least a bachelor's degree and above, okay, to help answer your question. I guess it's becoming more and more difficult to get PR through Express Entry program. Could you confirm? Could you tell us NOC in demand? It's a very loaded question, but very good question indeed. For the Express Entry program, is the benchmark getting higher? Yes, it is, but is it still possible to get permanent residence? Absolutely. You know, there's no single place where all the NOC codes and job occupations are in demand. At Visa Place, because we do these immigration applications, because we process so many, we are very knowledgeable and we have the expertise in what jobs are in demand, depending on what region, depending on what province, okay? So that's something that you really want a legal professional to take a look at and see, can we put your occupation in a different NOC code in demand, right? So we keep track of that internally on a national scale. All the PNP programs, we see what's coming in, we see what's needed, and we're able to share and shed some more light on that. So really, if you are truly interested in applying for permanent residence, really serious about it, I would say book a consultation with us so that we can take a look and we can find an avenue for you, okay? Don't get discouraged about Express Entry. Things change drastically all the time, okay? Look at this year. So many new program changes, so many new policies that were implemented. You never know what's going to happen. So we want to be prepared and be able to seize any opportunities that come our way. Okay. Let's see here. Hi, I'm from Peru and I have the LMIA exemption, but I would like to send it to the employer that I would be working with. Where can I find the LMIA exemption? Really great question. Please do yourself a favor and book a consultation with us. I specialize in work permits. I worked in corporate immigration for quite a while. So a lot of our team members are very well equipped to help you determine which LMIA exemption you qualify under for a work permit. Okay, there's a few that may apply to your situation, depending on your employer, depending on your personal circumstances, depending on your educational background. You could fall under 1, 2, 3. So in order to determine the easiest route for you to get a work permit, I would say please book a consultation with us so that we can take a look at that. We can help your employer, prepare your work permit petition. We can help your employer register your job offer with the Canadian government so that your application is not refused, so that there's no delays in your application. But that sounds great that you've got that job offer. It sounds good that your employer is on board, getting the ball rolling for your work permit application. Once you get your work permit and once you start working in Canada, most likely that opens many avenues and doors for you to apply for permanent residence. So depending on how soon you are meaning to get started for your work in Canada, you may want to have a legal professional take a look at that. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Is there any information about when Express Entry will take people from outside Canada with no Canadian experience and not from CEC? Soon, okay, very soon. Just sit tight and get ready. If you're sitting in the Express Entry pool, that's awesome, but we do have to wait a little bit, okay, but very soon. Are there any funds requirements if I can come with a work visa? Yes and no. It really depends. Usually we do put, depending on where you're applying from, depending on what your country of residence and visa office that you're applying from, those requirements change even if you have a job offer, even if you're going to be paid in Canada. So to answer your question, the answer is yes, but it depends. Do you think that Canada will start reducing the number of immigrants and PR applications they accept over the next couple of years? Okay, I'm going to repeat this question again. Do you think that Canada will start reducing the number of immigrants and PR applications they accept over the next couple of years? The big answer to that is absolutely no. The Minister of Immigration, they have published already the immigration level plans. So this is an annual target of people we want to bring in, immigrants, foreign nationals, that we need to bring into Canada per year. So that is published. That's out there in the world. So those targets have to be met. So the number is not going to be decreasing over the next couple of years. And what we're going to see is possibly that those numbers are going to be increasing, if not more than what's already been established, okay? So if you're interested in applying for permanent residence, I strongly urge you to take a look, book a consultation with us so that we can see and kind of put you on the right path. If you're not ready right now, that's okay. We could get you ready next year, or we can get you ready in the next 3 years, okay? Canada is such a huge country. I love to tell my clients this. Geographically, such a huge landmass, not enough people. We only have 38 million people in Canada. And there's not enough people to strengthen our population and our economy, you know? So that's why we really rely on the help of people from outside of Canada in order to bolster our economy and to grow our country, okay? So again, the answer is no. My question is that as a credit risk analyst who is also married, is there any chance of getting express entry? If not, what immigration plan would you suggest? Credit risk analyst, married, is there a chance of getting express entry? Yeah, of course. That's a skilled job. We actually have a lot of applicants applying under kind of banking related occupations, in finance as well too. That is one of a high demand occupation here in Canada. So if you got your education, if you got strong English or French, most likely you would be a very strong candidate for express entry, absolutely. Hi, my name is Diana from Colombia. I'd like to study a master's in Alberta. Would I have a pathway to get permanent residency without job offer? Excuse me. What if my husband finds a full-time job? He could start a process of residency. Really great question, Diana. Colombia, I'm not sure you know, but we have a free trade agreement with Canada. So potentially, yes, there is a way for us to get you permanent residence in Canada, sorry, a work permit in Canada, depending on what you and your husband do. If you get a study permit and if your husband gets an open spousal work permit to accompany you to come to Canada and he gets a job offer and he starts working here, most likely, yes, there are several different streams for you to apply for permanent residence, okay, depending on what he does. So we've got work permit streams, we've got Alberta PNP streams, and also federal PNP streams, okay? You want us to take a look at that for you so that we can determine what's the best route and how to be prepared, how to get ready, how to prepare yourself to get permanent residence as soon as possible. As an international student completing your master's degree in Canada, you know that the tuition is much, much higher. If you get permanent residence in Canada, we start to see that tuition drop lower to, as low as a quarter or even a third of the fees that you're paying. So it is really in your best interest to apply for permanent residence as soon as you are eligible to. Okay, so we've got a question here. We've got lots of questions here, guys. I'm going to try and go through them quickly. Is there any information about when the express entry? Okay, I'm not going to answer that question again. I have many trades in my work history, from school caretaker to manufacturing, heavy and light. I am a UK national and learning French. Perfect. Fully vaccinated. I can stay with a permanent resident in Canada. I want to stay and work permanently. What is the best way for me? If you are doing a skilled trade in the UK, we bring a lot of folks over who's doing trades in Canada, under the Federal Skilled Trades Program, as well as different programs, different avenues for you. Okay, really, this is not enough information for me to take a look at. Most likely, if you're working in manufacturing, especially if you've done a skilled trade license, or if you have some kind of formal education in the trades. It's possible for us to get a work permit for you, possible for us to apply for a permanent residence directly. Also, depending on your age too, if you qualify for a working holiday, okay? A lot of great factors there to be considered. I think you're on the right path, but we need to guide you a little bit further. I'm 46 years old. Can I apply for a work visa? Yes. I live in Canada. I'm a truck driver. My qualification is O level. Can you help me? What is a possible way to come to Canada for me? Truck drivers, most likely you will need a job offer, okay? I would recommend getting a visitor visa application, have you come over, explore job opportunities with employers so that we can find you a job offer and get you here. How long might it take to process a visitor visa application for a partner from Cambodia to accompany the Canadian citizen partner who is still back in Canada? Back to Canada? Might take to process a visitor for a partner from Cambodia to accompany a Canadian citizen partner who is ill back to Canada. That's a really great question. I'm hearing that, there's a little bit of a humanitarian kind of compassionate reason, urgent reason for us to request expedited processing of your visitor visa application. Most certainly that's a possibility, okay? So processing time for Cambodia, let me check here. Either way, if there's an urgent reason, we can push that through for you, okay? We do that all the time. Most certainly, if it's something that needs to be processed relatively quickly, you might want to meet with us so that we can help you. The processing time right now is about 200 days, so about 6 to 7 months. My name is Francis. I applied for B1, B2 visa. I'm struggling to get an appointment. I think this is a U.S. immigration application. So book a consultation with our U.S. team and make sure you tune in for the U.S. Facebook Live session. Visit visa or honeymoon visa, which one is easier to get? I think this is also a U.S. visa application. I think if you're talking about the fiancé visa, if you want to come to Canada, then we can take a look at that for you. Can I get a work permit visa? I'm an auto mechanic and I have my driver's license. If you are a mechanic, you've been practicing in the auto mechanic trades, it is actually very possible for you to get permanent residence or work permit directly, okay? Very possible. You want to book a consultation with us so that we can take a look at that. I am an asylum seeker in the USA and my boyfriend is about to become a Canadian citizen. How do I migrate to Canada? It really depends on your relationship. Have you guys been living together? Are you guys ready to take the next step? Very possible for us to kind of, change or even have us bring you over, apply for permanent residence shortly after, okay? Family class applications, you want to book a consultation with us so we can kind of help explain and walk you through that process. I heard New Brunswick in terms of is faster in getting permanent residence. I have an open work permit if I get a job there. How long will it take to apply for permanent residence? Usually 3 to 4 months for nomination, usually about 12 to 24 months for PR after that, 16 months or so. All right, so I'm closing up on 1 o'clock here, guys, for our Facebook Live session. I'm sorry I couldn't get to answer all of your questions, but make sure you tune in for our next session next month, okay? Save your questions for then. I'd be happy to go over them for you guys. As always, thank you so very much for joining our live sessions. I love hearing where you guys are coming from. I love hearing your circumstances and hearing your questions. They're all very great. We'd love to meet with you, myself included. I am an immigration consultant. Our team of immigration consultants would love to have a meeting with you, walk you through your process, see what options there are for you to help you come to Canada. Discount code is shared in the chat box by our team member, VN25, for 25% off our consultation. Until next time, guys, farewell, take care of yourselves, and we'll speak to you guys real soon, okay? Bye-bye.